Darren from We Are Messengers, kia ora, hello and welcome to New Zealand.
Cheers, thanks for having me,
So you come a long way. I thought you were based in the States, but I think you mentioned you came straight from Ireland, right?
Well, I've lived in the States for the last 9 years with my wife and my kids, but we moved home in May, back home to Ireland. Okay. And so it took me about 30 hours getting here, and I've had a great time. Like, the whole band was flying in from America. They unfortunately got delayed, so I rented a car, went to the beach, ate lots of avo toast, and had a great time.
All right, okay. So, first time in New Zealand, Darren?
First time.
Okay.
Yeah.
First impression?
The people are very like the Irish, very chill.
Oh, please don't. We're not.
Except we're better at rugby.
Okay, we've already started on that. Salah was wondering whether he's like, do I lead in with rugby or do... Okay, so... Like, is rugby in Ireland as big as it is in New Zealand?
It used to be football was the biggest sport, but I think rugby has taken over as our most successful. Don't even say it. Right?
No, look.
Listen, we are beasts, Grand Slam beasts. Okay, we bottled it at the World Cup. That's a very Irish thing.
It was
to
so
do.
unusual too, right?
No. Listen, we've always loved the All Blacks, but I have to say, you didn't deserve any of that, you bunch of scoundrels. At least we took care of South Africa. You guys couldn't finish your dinner.
Look, no one was more surprised that we made it to the final than New Zealand itself.
Yeah,
everyone was like, we might not even get out of the pool. Yeah. We don't even know.
Seriously, it's the first time I think we seriously raised our hands and everyone collectively in New Zealand were praying at the same time that we would get one over. So, yeah, you're right. We Are Messengers. What do you think? Because you've been touring for a long time, Darren. Messages that you want to leave for New Zealanders who will come to see you, and maybe messages that you just want to leave for Kiwis as you depart us?
Yeah, for me, a massive part of our life at the moment is this idea of joy. I'm Irish, so naturally I'm melancholic. Someone once told me that, melancholy is the Irish happy of being sad, right? And so...
I need a minute to think about that one.
Yeah. But in the last few years, I've really fell into this, just a kind of joy that has superseded depression or anxiety or pornography or whatever it may be that I'm wrestling with in my life. And that joy is sustaining me, and that joy is Jesus. And no matter where I go in the world, whether I'm talking to someone who knows him or doesn't know him, whether they're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Maori, whatever, right? The great common denominator is that it's a level playing field at the foot of the cross. No spiritual superiors, no kings, only one king. His name is Jesus, Yahweh. And so for me, we live in a culture right now where everyone's trying to separate us based upon our differences. Identity politics, and it's such nonsense. You cut us, we bleed, we're all wrestling with the same horrors, the same monsters in the dead of night. And the only answer to it is the joy of the Lord. The only hope we have is Jesus. And so what I want to leave Kiwis with, maybe just an inch closer to Jesus. That's it. I can't give you Jesus. I can't save you, can't heal you, can't do none of that. That's all him. Any goodness and We Are Messengers is Jesus. Any holiness is Jesus. Any righteousness is Jesus. And for the Kiwis, there's such a sense of peace here, honestly, even just since I got down to the farm here. And that's even settling me. But joy is something that is attainable, not through things or success or acclamation or applause. Joy is the stillness of God in the dead of night when the monsters come to haunt you. And you know what he does to the monsters, lads? He takes them out back and he beats the absolute dung out of them. That's what I want to leave you with.
Yes, beautiful.
Darren, we should have asked you that question on stage because, that would have brought a few people to the Lord in that moment.
Or sent a few people away. I don't know.
Funny you talked about how, we're all the same, we're all on the same level, we're all the same people, created in the image of God. You really proved that before when we first got introduced, and immediately I said, hey, can you help us carry these umbrellas halfway across Festival 1? People were like, don't ask the superstar to carry some things. I was like, he's a good guy, he won't mind.
Well, I did notice that I actually carried the weighted water.
One of them had no water, one of them had about 20 litres, and you picked up the heavy one.
About 150 pounds between them, I think. Do you know what I mean?
So, can I ask a bit about your show? And you've yet to play so far at Festival 1, but I know a lot of people are looking forward to you guys on stage. What's your show? Like, do you let the music speak for itself a lot, or do you do kind of what you did a moment ago where you're really sharing from the heart? Like,
It depends. I don't go in with we go in with a set list, usually falls apart. we leave a lot of room for God to show up. And that's, listen, people don't need more impressive men. They need an impressive view of who Jesus is. So we're a rock and roll band. We're not some worship band. We're not leading you to the throne room of heaven. Anybody who tells you that is lying. Every man, woman, child goes to the throne room of heaven through the finished work of Jesus Christ. I sing in a rock and roll band for misfits, for people on the outside, for the marginalized. You know the people that feel too dirty to go to church? Prostitutes, beggars, thieves? They're my people. I understand that. I don't know anything about a Jesus who lives in the clouds, but I know a lot about a Jesus who reached down when I was dead, and pulled me out of a grave. So our show is like that. It is an attempt by messy, sinful men who have encountered a beautiful Jesus to pull you a little bit closer to him so that he may reach in and pull you out of the grave and bring you to joy. So the show, it's rock and roll, it's messy. You might love it, you might hate it. I really don't care. I want to honor God, and that's it. That's my whole gig.
Oh man, I wish, Bjorn's right, I wish we were on a pulpit right now, because you would, I guarantee you would save a few of us broken people, and you know, us included. Now, the last thing I want to ask you, you talk about the broken, you've probably reached a lot of broken people, right?
Thankfully. Yeah.
What have they come up to you and said about the impact that We Are Messengers have had on their lives? And that must be so emotionally rewarding for you as an artist and as a person. Can you share maybe a personal testimony, or maybe somebody?
Yeah, no, thank you. You guys actually been very kind to me over the years too. I've always watched, and you see playlists from New Zealand, and you guys have played our music constantly. I don't need applause anymore. I don't need any more awards. You know, young men want to achieve things, achieve plenty. I do it now, and I leave my wife and my 4 kids because I believe that this music allows people to get closer to Jesus. That's it. So their testimonies, it's not a day of the week goes by where someone doesn't message me and say I was suicidal. I was sitting with a gun in my mouth. I was here. I was someone who has been abused. I was someone in a marriage where I was being hurt. And your music comforted me. It drew me through it so that Jesus could rescue me. Those things are so common, and I could rattle them off. But the danger when I do that is that it sounds like I've played a more important role in that than I really have. We're all sinners trying to lead other sinners to water that will wash them clean. And maybe not this side of heaven, right? I may not quite understand how clean I really am because of Jesus. On that side I will. My job here is just to remind you, no matter how dirty you feel, Jesus can wash you. No matter how lost you feel, he can find you. No matter how blind you are, he can restore your sight. If you can't walk, he'll give you new legs. Spiritual, for sure. Physical, this side or that side. Like C.S. Lewis says, everything sad is being undone. And so when people come and tell me that there is a sadness in their life that has been undone through our music, I know who did that. It certainly wasn't me. It was Yahweh, you know.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You know, when you share about Jesus and you speak, like it's right below the surface, like I can see you take a moment occasionally just to settle yourself before you speak. Can I ask about your journey with God? Like how you came to know him, or where that started, or what that kind of looks like?
Yeah, it looks like a tall, blonde, beautiful Scottish woman called Heidi, who when I was a desperately poor human being, she fell in love with Jesus. This was 15 years ago, and she loved me when I couldn't look at myself in a mirror, when I couldn't pull myself off the floor of a bathroom drunk out of my face. She loved me. When I cheated on her, she loved me. When I hurt the people closest to me, she loved me. When I abused and manipulated my way through life, she loved me. And then standing in a wee church in Monaghan, my hometown, when she had moved from Scotland to be with me, she loved me. And so when Jesus called me, I knew what love looked like and sounded like, because she had been with him. And so yeah, it was 15 years ago, and you know, people say I give you my life, I give Jesus my life. Yeah, maybe that's true. I struggle sometimes with this idea. Sometimes people will say, there's a song we sing, and I'm not going to get into whether it's right or what I am. Here we go. The song says, right, and when you called my name, I ran out of that grave. For me, I never ran out of a grave. I loved the grave. I loved sexual sin. I loved drunkenness. I loved the life I had. Jesus tore me from it. Like, he tore me from it through his goodness. And he used the kindness of my girlfriend, who's now my wife and the mother of our 4 children, to do that. And so I kissed her, 2 nights ago when we were leaving. She dropped me at the airport. And she sends me out because she believes this matters more. More than me tucking my kids in. She's an incredible woman. I don't know, again, sorry, and I do think, Christian artists, we're too quick to talk like we have wisdom that we don't have. I'm just saying, I don't know much, but I know what love looks like, what forgiveness feels like. And the vehicle for that in my life has been my wife. That's where Jesus has predominantly shown up. And he still does every single day of the week. And so maybe one of these days, I'll get to be Jesus to her,
Oh,
so
that's beautiful.
Bro, thank you for sharing that. There's, there's always power in just vulnerability and honesty. So thank you.
Cheers. It's funny thing to be sitting in a field crying with a bunch of New Zealand lads.
We only just met too, but
I try and tell my kids that, because I suppose I'm a man's man, rough around the edges, and I want my boys to grow up to be fierce, to be able to handle themselves, to get in a fight, to know what to do, right? But it's very important that they know how to cry. And they know how to weep with those who weep and comfort those who need comforting. And until you're able to do that for yourself, you can never do it for anyone else. So if I stand on a stage and I don't know how to cry in front of 2,000 or 3,000 people, what good am I to them? And if I don't know how to laugh, what good am I to them? A good man can laugh, can cry, and if you're Irish, you can do it in the same sentence. So
That's beautiful. Well done. That's us.
yeah, thank you so much, Darren, and looking forward to the show.
Cheers.
You
Thanks,
got a beautiful spirit.
I have a very wounded but very thankful spirit.
Can I pull you in?
My man.
Thank you, man.